I'm Debbie Ryan, and I'm the owner and one of the founders of MCR. And I have with me an MCR associate, Katrina Owers, and KTA's architect, Darcy Dunn. This project today is a bit about embracing diversity within a template, valuing collaboration, and trying to bring humanity into a program driven by process. Bundle B 2022 is part of the Victorian School Building Authority's commitment, running since 2016, to build 100 new schools by 2026. To achieve this aim, the VSBA bundle a number of schools together. Bundle B comprises 3 schools at the extremity of Melbourne's expanding perimeter, 2 secondary schools and a primary school. Clyde Secondary College includes a supportive, inclusive hub. We were mindful about the importance of infrastructure for Melbourne. Greenvale was a well-established suburb with large houses. Secondary school anticipated for many years. Clyde was a rapidly growing, spanking new suburb. Houses smaller and cheap by jowl, former farmland. Our first site visit, we waded through leaks and avoided cows. The theory behind the bundle is fast, efficient, cost-effective delivery, a program which in theory encourages the incremental evolution and improvement in a series of template designs. There is, of course, a tension between the efficiencies of template design and the VSBA's wish for diversity of approach. MCR's offer to partner with KTA, an ensign of diversity, if ever there was one, made for an argument compelling enough that we collectively won the commission. The time frame is hectic. 2.5 years from greenfield to opening, the bundle realised largely through the intense COVID lockdown. As part of the program, we issued the previous templates. You could trace the swings and roundabouts of the pedagogical approach in the plans. While the idea of an evolving and improving design type was honourable, we did wonder if it was evolving primarily with the efficiency of the delivery partners. I'm going to hand over to Katrina now.
Apologies for my laptop. To stand behind. So in the master planning and SD phases, MCR and KTA work closely together and, to be honest, quite frantically due to the type of program to try and find a better balance between the template and the individual contextual needs of each site. A simple tweak of those templates, a crank, facilitated a new series of variations of building footprint. Clever strategic siting of these structured the campuses, defining interstitial and circulation networks without the need for bespoke moves. At Clyde Secondary, we could use the crank forms to slide more naturally along the contours of the site, maximising both accessibility and working with the site's inherent qualities. In the secondary school campuses, it also allowed us to think about the quality of the school in the early funding stages. These simple figure-ground diagrams show the combined strategy of the cranked buildings and the resulting enclosure of well-defined main central gathering spaces, which we refer to as the civic hub. Clyde Secondary College's master plan is shown here. Shows how, framed by learning neighbourhoods, administration and resource centre, specialist facilities such as STEM, visual arts, performing arts and physical education, these civic hubs become a focal point of the campus, a large space for gathering with pockets for outdoor learning and play. This quality is even achieved at the initial stage 1 builds on the secondary schools. This approach, where the building can wrap and hold the civic hub, we felt gave a greater sense of intimacy and place to the schools in the grid approach prevalent in their earlier models. It forced us to resolve issues of orientation to provide deep eaves for shade and shelter, and particularly on the large secondary school campuses to provide distinct identity and entry points to the various school buildings. Partway through the sketch design phase, the team made a decision to continue to work closely together, but for MCR to focus on developing up the secondary schools and KTA to focus on the primary school, with some select buildings within the secondary. Working on the common DNA of the planning, each practice developed the schools based on their own unique approach and interest, with a real focus on the actual cohorts that they were designed for. Just as important as the school's internal environment was the way that the new schools addressed the street and the suburb, creating a sense of civility, entry and legibility to places that, as they mentioned, were quite recently filed. So the Grange Plan model was not only the basis for the more nuanced site planning, but a better, more articulated pedagogical plan type, which in the secondary schools accommodated formal instructional spaces and open collaboration spaces, along with a range of informal semi-enclosed spaces and spill out to outdoor learning. The nature of these projects means there is no end user that you're working with. The school principals aren't appointed until 6 months before the school actually opens. So to design the schools, we worked with the VSBA and their appointed user representatives. They related lessons learned and past user experiences to assist in the design process. We know from our experience that educationalists' opinions on the types of spaces needed for particular groups. The floor plans needed to be adaptable to changing curriculum and pedagogy, facilitating many modes of operation, so balancing flexibility with purposeful and accessible spaces.
6 minutes.
From the more conventional formal spaces to the semi-enclosed, such as the pod and meeting areas of the secondary schools, or presentation spaces such as this one in the library, to the quickly adaptable. So this is an open collaboration zone out in the science area of the STEM building.
So at the primary school, the Grange forms in the veranda around the heart of the campus creates an intelligible and supportive space with a sense of shared enterprise and community. With no principle, we knew these spaces needed to be adaptable to both teacher-led and collective inquiry modes of learning. So joinery, volume and material are used to create pockets to support different group sizes and modes of learning. This diagram shows how the building can be used by the teachers, operated by the teachers, to support activities of all sizes. The more collaborative spaces face the civic heart and have a larger volume with exposed trusses, while the more program-driven spaces sit on the back of the plan. A consistent datum of wall linings joins the larger volumes with the smaller focused ones. Careful additions of joinery indicate areas for more focused and quiet inquiry. And the teaching spaces are designed with the outdoors to spill out beyond pergola and into the civic heart.
The project used a hand-in-glove approach to the incorporation of pedagogy, the structure, acoustic and display needs, interior design, and the use of sustainable materials, where the structural rhythm of each is informing the other. Natural materials were used where possible throughout the project, creating not only a healthy environment, but also a considered and composed one. Clever use of common durable materials through selection of colour and composition create joyful, uplifting teaching spaces. Sports areas were robustly, rurally